Good morning, everybody. My name is Kevin Law, and I'm the President and CEO of the Long Island Association. We welcome you here to the LIA headquarters here in Melville. Very happy to acknowledge some of the folks who are with us here today, some of our elected officials, the great supervisor from the town of Huntington, Frank Petrone. Frank. Members of our New York State Assembly delegation. We have Andrew Breyer and Chad Lupinacci. Thank you. We have representing County Executive Steve Below and John Schneider. John, thank you for coming. And we have Major David Candelaro from the New York State Police. David, thank you. It's great when the governor comes to Long Island. You know, he brings good tidings. And just over the last several months, just the last week, we've heard good news about tourism dollars, advertising dollars to promote our great tourism industry, which is a multi-billion-dollar industry here in the island. Just last week, he was announcing more investments in our state parks, including Jones Beach and Robert Moses, our crown jewels. And of course, earlier this spring, he was here, right in this room, announcing his support and his willingness and commitment and investment in one of the most important infrastructure projects here on Long Island, and that is the third track. I think the governor deserves a great round of applause for his efforts on the third track. At that event, I mentioned that the LIA is celebrating its 90th anniversary this year. We were founded in 1926. And so we've been spending we're preparing a couple of celebrations for later this year and looking at a lot of the records. And we look back at some of the things that we supported back, in its infancy, like the Triborough Bridge and the Midtown Tunnel, projects that you take for granted that have always been there, but they weren't always there. And looking back at more recent records, and with some assistance from our friend Mitch Paley, the LIA started advocating for a welcome center and a visitor center on the LIE back in the 1980s when Governor Mario Cuomo was in office. And then it bubbled up again during Governor Pataki's administration. And for then the last 20 years, again, nothing happened. And projects get a little bit controversial and they sort of wither and they don't happen. But our governor has this great track record of trying to figure out how to get things done. It's always easy to stop a project or say no to a project or oppose a project, but he's been showing leadership on how to get big projects done and projects that have been sort of talked about for decades, whether it's the Tappan Zee Bridge, whether it's the repairs and renovations to the LaGuardia Airport, whether it was what we were doing here last month with the third track, and now with the Welcome Center. He knows how to get things done. He knows how to try to bring people together, and we're very fortunate to have him. There hasn't been investments in our infrastructure in our metropolitan region, that since the days of Governor Nelson Rockefeller and when Robert Moses was around. This our governor, he's like Governor, you're like Governor Rocky Moses. And it's great because of your leadership. Big projects, important projects are finally happening again. So let's give our governor a great round of applause. It's my job today to introduce another friend, Matt Driscoll. Matt, the former mayor of Syracuse. Many of you know him when he was running and the Environmental Facilities Corporation. And now he serves as the commissioner of the Department of Transportation. He spent a lot of time on Long Island. We got to know him on the Regional Economic Development Councils because he was on the scoring panel. He understands Long Island. He's been a supporter of a lot of the projects that we've been fighting for on Long Island. Let's give our New York State DOT Commissioner, Matt Driscoll, a nice welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Kevin. Good morning, Long Island. It's great to be back again. I'm delighted to be here, and I want to say, Kevin, thanks for the kind introduction. You know, I had the privilege of meeting Kevin about 6 years ago, and we've worked very closely. I'm, as he described, a member of the governor's team that works with all the regions. And I have to tell you, Kevin does a tremendous job representing the people and the commerce here on Long Island, and he's traveling across the state. People say to me, the guy from Long Island, that tall guy from Long Island, who is he? I said, that's Kevin Law, and he does a great job. Give Kevin a big round of applause. So I'm very pleased to be here again today and excited about what we're going to be talking about. I want to walk through a slideshow here and show you a little bit about what Kevin described and really the promise that it holds here. You know, this idea was born under the leadership of Governor Cuomo. I mean, he's always thinking about things, and he goes to bed thinking about things, wakes up thinking about more things. And this has really been a great idea that's working and really making a difference for businesses, not only promoting businesses, but sustaining businesses across the state of New York. He launched this in 2013, and the genius of this concept is really, we all know that we have a world-class agribusiness in New York State. New York State is known nationally and globally for that. You on Long Island know very much how rich you are here in the environmental and agriculture businesses. But it's really about not only promoting, it's educating people and directing people. And that's what his idea does. It makes people look and learn and find where these businesses are and supports them. This program is 3 years old. We've established more than 45 locations from Puerto Rico to Lake Placid. And the Taste New York is booming. And the facts are clear. The sales are up each and every year. But what is also up each and every year is for the participants who are located in these taste facilities, they are seeing better sales, increased visitation to their farms, to their artisan businesses, and to local community businesses as well. It's been a tremendous success. Last week, as Kevin mentioned, the governor just opened at the state-owned Jones Beach a revitalization that includes another Taste New York footprint, which will make a world of difference as people visit the Jones Beach and surrounding Long Island communities. So today, of course, we're announcing the transformational expansion of our newest site here. You'll see there's also slide boards around the room, you'll notice, that we're opening here. It's a new 15,000 square foot Long Island Welcome Center. It will be the premier welcome center, the most modernized facility that we have in New York State. It's really going to be the jewel thus far of all of the Taste New York stores. You know, I can tell you that the governor is laser focused on making sure that this building looks and feels like Long Island. And trust me, he tells me that every day. He wants to make sure that it does. And so we're really taking careful and painful sometimes strides to make sure that we do that. As an example, you know, the seaside shakes on the building as an example. The stone that's native to Long Island, even down to native plants and landscaping. And of course, what you'll see is an iconic New York State weather vane on all of our Taste New York stores as well. But we're really taking careful and considerate consideration on the look and feel. These facilities are very well maintained and will be professionally managed as well. Here's the kind of aerial view of it. It's out next to exits 51 and 52, which I'm sure you know. That's a 7 or 9 acre full site footprint. We're using about 7 acres of that. There'll be automobile parking for 135 automobiles, no tractor trailers or buses. But it'll be a LEED certified building as well. Why? Because you know, the governor believes, we believe in sustainable practices. There'll be porous pavement here. We'll be using solar. We'll have electric car charging stations as well, and a number of accoutrements that really embrace the sustainable mindset that you have here on Long Island. The Welcome Center includes, and this is a very important piece in my mind, because this information booth, as you see it here, is not just about a place where you hand out a pamphlet or two. It's not about that at all. Again, I mentioned early on the genius of this is about how we educate people and direct people. So When an operator is selected, that operator will have trained staff who know the area well, who know the products well, who know your farmlands well, who know what's available in the local town or village. He or she will be able to direct visitors to those locations, again, supporting, enhancing, and growing local economies. The most expansive selection of Taste New York products across the state will be here on this footprint. State-of-the-art amenities, I mentioned some of this, but you can read down for yourself. Workstations, outdoor picnic area, I mentioned LED lighting, security cameras around the premise, of course, 24-hour bathrooms and vending, which is so necessary here on the Long Island Expressway. I know that people are going to welcome that indeed. We've worked closely with the community in the development of this site. You know, I started last year at the direction of the governor to come down, start meeting people, talking to people, and we've really had a great dialogue. A lot of the ideas that you see in here that are a result of that dialogue are because of that, and we really worked hard. And I do just want to take a moment because a lot of the local officials got involved, but I also want to thank Andrew Rea, who really worked with me and with the governor to make sure that we found a solution that worked for everybody. And I just want to say that because I appreciate his support. We'll have a multi-purpose room that can be used for a variety of things. We've got some great ideas, but we're also looking at how we want to hear from the local communities. You know, I've met with the local Chamber of Commerce's. You know, we're going to invite them in. We want their ideas. Who knows better than the economy of the region here than them? So we're going to be working with them. We think it's a fantastic opportunity for people to take full advantage of this site as well. Offices for the state police, and of course, our Suffolk County Police Department had the privilege of meeting the commissioner and others last year. We're really proud that they're going to be in this footprint and be part of it as we are focused on the security of the site as well. We're going to build to the highest standards with the noise barrier. I want to mention, if you can see, well, if you walk around a little bit later, you'll see on the back side of the site, there's a 1,000-foot visual and noise barrier that really helps protect the neighborhood and keeps the site protected as well. That's just one example of some of the input that we've gotten from the community and that we've listened to and responded to. So we're proud of that. Construction's already underway. We've got footers in the ground. It's ongoing. It's active. And I want to tell you that it will be open this October. And I want to invite all of you, on behalf of the governor, to come, to join the governor, join us, be here when we cut this ribbon on this fantastic Welcome Center this October. So thanks, everybody, very much for having me. It's been a pleasure to be here. Now, I have the privilege of introducing our next speaker, somebody who you certainly already know and know very well. He's the CEO of the MTA, and that's Tom Prendergast. Tom?
Thank you very much, Matt. Good morning, everybody. I'm pleased to be here. I'd like to acknowledge two additional people from the MTA, our board member from Suffolk County, Mitch Pally, as well as the president of the Long Island Railroad, Pat Nowakowski. As many of you know, I had the distinct privilege of being president of the Long Island Railroad for 5 years of my career. It was a very enjoyable experience, very challenging experience. I don't need to tell you that one-track railroads don't work well. If you experience the ride every day coming in from Ronkonkoma, you know the problems and challenges that present to us. If there's a delay, it will be impacted much more greatly because you don't have the ability to operate around. And also know now, as the growth of Long Island continues out east and more people are actually commuting from points west to east, it inhibits our ability to have reverse peak service. Governor Cuomo assumed a leadership position in 2012 in working with the legislature to advance monies for us to accelerate this project so that we can deliver a two-track railroad to the Ronkonkoma branch and the main line where the overwhelming majority of our customers serve. The governor has also been pretty clear. He wants to make sure that we take the Long Island Railroad into the 21st century. And he reminds me, he says, Tom, it's 2016. We're already in the 21st century. We really need to step up the pace. When you work in public service and you work in public service long, sometimes you do get caught in a rut and you look at things in terms of perfectness. We don't want to let perfectness be the enemy of the good. But we need to advance projects in a way where we're constantly looking at the needs of the customer. The governor reminds us that all the time. How we can deliver projects more efficiently, more reliably, more quickly in a way where the customer sees an improved service, and also minimizes the amount of time while that construction is going on, because that's an impact to them. He does it across all forms of governing, but it's a challenge that he's giving us. And it's a leadership position that he has assumed, and we're glad that he has done that, and will continue to do that. We look forward to accelerating this project and delivering it as soon as possible. And I'd like it now at this time. And one last point is, in other areas, for example, we're moving into the 21st century with mobile ticketing. In a lot of aspects of your life right now, you do things with mobile apps that have made your life more easy. There's no reason why the Long Island Railroad shouldn't be assuming a more leadership position rather than a following position. It's my distinct pleasure to introduce the Governor of the great state of New York, Andrew M. Cuomo.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's truly my pleasure to be back. And let me second what has been said about the LIA and Kevin Law. The organization does great work. It is a prime mover for Long Island, and Kevin Law is a phenomenal leader. So let's give him another round of applause. To Chairman Prendergast and the MTA, which is probably one of the toughest jobs, I think, in public service, is running the MTA, because it is massive, it is difficult, and he has done an extraordinary job. Tom Prendergast. Commissioner Matt Driscoll, as Kevin said, he was a former mayor of Syracuse. When you are a mayor, when you're a local elected official, you have a totally different orientation. You know that government has to work and it has to perform because you're on the front line of government. It's ingrained in mayors. And that's just what he's brought to the Department of Transportation. He makes things happen. We were together yesterday up in Cattaraugus. We're blowing up a bridge to build a new bridge. People love when you blow up a bridge, by the way. It really is. And it's nice because it worked, you know. They give you that plunger. And I said, Matt, if we push this plunger and that bridge does not blow up, you have a problem. So, he's doing a great job, and you can see what he did here. Commissioner Matt Driscoll. Agriculture Commission Richard Ball, who's going to take over the operation of the Welcome Center. The Department of Transportation builds it, and then the actual operation of these centers is done by the Department of Agriculture. So Richard Ball is here. Let's give him a round of applause. And my colleagues, Assemblyman Lupinacci, Assemblyman Rea, who have been extraordinary, and Frank Petrone, and I'll have more to say about them in a moment. But it's a pleasure to be with them, Assemblyman Rea and Assemblyman Lupinacci. These two projects individually are important, and then they make a statement together. The Welcome Center is obvious. My daughters would say it is a no-brainer. It is long overdue. I didn't know that it was proposed during my father's administration, Kevin. So let me revise my thinking. This was my father's idea. I am just completing it. But it is a long time coming. It was an obvious innovation on a lot of different levels. First, as a welcome center for Long Island itself, to introduce the people to Long Island, to promote the Long Island market. Tourism is big, big business for us. And we have invested a lot of money in tourism. The I Love New York campaign, we've gotten very creative with it, and it is one of the most successful economic ventures that this state has entered into. We invested $60 million in the I Love New York campaign, which sounds like a lot of money because it is a lot of money. But the legislature authorized $60 million to invest in I Love New York, promotion of tourism. TV commercials, local tourism, tourism packages, etc. $60 million investment. How much did tourism increase? $4 billion in this state, okay? So we know if you invest in tourism and you market what we have, it will generate the economy. Tourism on Long Island is a $5 billion industry. we can make that $5 billion, $6 billion. I know we can, because we have not been promoting Long Island the way we should promote Long Island. And that's first and foremost what this is, welcome center / promotional marketing device for Long Island. Second, it serves as a convenience rest stop on the LIE, which anyone who has driven that road, especially at a high traffic time, can appreciate. And I'll leave it at that. Will have a public safety function. Suffolk County Police will be on site. It will be an office for the Suffolk County Police. It will be an office for the New York State Police. So they'll both be on site, and also it'll be, since they're both on the same site, it will allow them to coordinate. There's also an emergency function to this site that I appreciate probably more than most. As we know, storms, hurricanes, floods, Hurricane Sandy, snowstorms are becoming more and more prevalent. The Long Island Expressway becomes a point of exposure. What you do with drivers who are on the LIE, people who are possibly stranded, this will have an emergency backup function as a refuge in case of a serious storm. And by the way, I have been out there in a number of serious storms where people are stranded in cars, they need a place to go, and this will also serve that function, again with the police on site. So it makes total sense. Second, on the second track, double track, this is, again, a no-brainer. You cannot operate one track for a portion of the system without experiencing delays. Something goes wrong on that one track. One train gets stuck on that one track, everything is stopped. So of course it had to be done. And it's another project that we've been talking about for 20 years, just never happened. And now the contracts are being let, and that is being expedited, and the second track is happening and has been advanced in the timing and the schedule. And as Kevin mentioned, we're also working on the third track. So both projects in and of themselves make tremendous sense and are long overdue and are obvious advantages. They also make another statement together, which is it's about getting things done, right? Government is about getting things done. Going back to the rest area at exit 50, that rest area is terrible. I mean, it is currently terrible. I had an experience with that rest area myself. Several years back, my brother and I had the great idea of, we purchased a historic car on eBay. And sight unseen, we bought it on eBay, we had it shipped, pick it up in New Jersey, and driving into Manhattan, get stuck in the Lincoln Tunnel with the new car. Then get stuck in Manhattan. Car turns out to be a piece of junk, and our plan is we're going to bring it to my brother's garage in Southampton and leave it there, and another day figure out what to do with it. I get charged with the responsibility of driving it out because he doesn't believe it's going to make it to Southampton. I wait for a Friday night, late because the traffic is light, and I start to drive it out. My brother was right. It doesn't make it. I get stuck, and I make it to the rest area at exit 50. Now, it's very late on a Friday night. You have to get a tow truck to come to exit 50. This is like a nightmare from hell with this car, and I'm upset. But I get the opportunity to spend several hours on a Friday night at the exit 50. It was like being in some movie of Land of the Lost, where you saw things that you were not supposed to see in life. I mean, you would have liked to have lived your whole life and not seen these experiences, because then you can't get them out of your mind once you've seen them. I mean, it was terrible. The criminal activity that went on in the open. There was a total lack of services, so the truckers who are staying there wind up being very creative in finding uses for functions that they need to fulfill. I'm telling you, there was prostitution there. There were drug sales there because I saw it. I mean, I was there. And I brought it up. I then become governor. I'm now in a point where I can make change. And I brought it up to people because it's one of those situations where you said to yourself, why do we let this continue, right? Why do we let this happen? And it's one of those situations that makes people upset and frustrated. It's one of these bizarre situations where you say, anyone with common sense would have done something about this. And why would we allow this to continue? And it is infuriating. It really is infuriating. We talk about the political anger that is out there now, voter anger, anger. Who wouldn't be angry? Look at the dysfunction of government, the lack of common sense, the gridlock. So I become governor. I say, why do we let this exit 50, LIU is a state road, why do we allow that to continue? Oh, it's a long story. It's always a long story, by the way. There are no short stories in government, I realize that. It's always a long story. The community this, the community that, we tried, unhappiness, community. I said, it can't be. They can't want to protect what is there because it is terrible what is there. Yeah, but they're afraid of change and this and that. I said, it can't be. And we can't take that as an obstacle. And that started a long series of working through change. Matt Driscoll did a great job because he showed up, he talked people through the fear, frankly, through the anxiety. Assemblyman Andrew Rea is a hero. Why? Because pandering is very, very easy. Pandering to a community's fears is very, very easy. And when this community said, I'm afraid of what's going to happen, it takes courage to stand up and say, you know what? This situation is not good. We should change. We should have the courage to change. And rather than just saying no, let's work with the process to say yes to something that is smart. Andrew Rea did that. Most politicians would have just said, I'm going to pander to the fear, that's safe. He had the courage to stand up and work with the community and the commissioner to come to yes. Let's give him a round of applause. But the rest area says 20 years, it was an intolerable situation. We should have had this for Long Island. Now it's going to be a reality. The double track, the second track, should have been done 20 years ago. There was opposition. It was difficult, but we're going to do it. And that's the commonality between the two. Both projects say, do it right, but do it. Kevin called me Rocky Moses. I'm trying to figure that out. It sounds like a boxer from the 50s, doesn't it, Rocky Moses? We were out at Jones Beach. We announced a $65 million renovation program of Jones Beach, which is really long. You want to talk about long overdue in 20 years. If you grew up in my generation, all you saw was the degradation of Jones Beach. I went to Jones Beach as a kid and all through as a teenager. And I remember just seeing the facilities deteriorate. It was another one of those situations of, why do they let this happen? Why doesn't anyone clean this up? Why didn't anyone fix the building? It was just a constant, slow decline of the facility at Jones Beach. And we were walking through the renovation and the restoration, which we're now bringing it back to what it was. A good part of the facility they just basically closed off, or they renovated it 60s style, and we're now taking down drop ceilings, et cetera, and renovating what was. It is magnificent what they built. And when you look at their ambition for what they did, Jones Beach, the entire barrier island, had to be raised 14 feet. Think of that. All of Jones Beach is raised 14 feet because it was just about at sea level. If any, the ambition of that project is breathtaking. If anyone stood up before the LIA today and said, we're going to take an entire barrier island, we're going to add fill for 14 feet, and then we're going to have 7 miles of facilities and different attractions, spend an exorbitant amount on architecture and carvings and stonework. I mean, we couldn't even contemplate. Now, Robert Moses was frankly too far the other way. He was, we're going to get it done, and we're going to get it done my way, and consultation is secondary. But frankly, we've gone the other way. Paralysis doesn't work either, my friends. And we are close to paralysis, especially on Long Island. It can't always be no. And it can't always be that we run away from the hard projects. Because I have news for you. They're all hard projects. Anything you go to do is hard. It's all complicated. It's all difficult. The second track is hard. The third track is hard. Jones Beach is hard. The Welcome Center was hard. It's all hard. It is all hard. But if you shrink from hard, if you shrink from difficult, if you run, it's over. Because other places are developing. We just announced LaGuardia Airport. You want to talk about a metaphor for what should have been done 20 years ago? Penn Station, Moynihan Hall, named for Moynihan. That's when the idea came up under Senator Moynihan. Nothing has happened. It's all hard. But our job, our challenge, the fundamental role of government is to get it done even though it is hard. Not to get done what's easy, to get done what is hard, and to accomplish it and to make it happen. That's what government is all about, and that's what government today is all about. And when they look back and they judge the Kevin Laws and the LIAs and the Governor Cuomos and the Prendergasts and the Driscolls in their position, the question is going to be, what did they get done? What did they accomplish? What did they achieve? New York, what we are, this is all about superachievement. You look at how we made this state, the #1 state in the country, the #1 state on the globe. It was by refusing to take no for an answer. Everything we did was hard, was difficult, was impossible. The longest bridge, the tallest building, hundreds of miles of subways, the Long Island Expressway coming out, Northern State Parkway, Jones Beach, all of these things were superachievement, ambitious, and a sense of belief in us as New Yorkers, and of course we can get it done. Of course we can get it done. And these are reminders of that. Jones Beach revitalization to bring it back to its former glory. Of course we can get it done. Welcome Center to Long Island to tell our story and to clean up a mess that should have never been there in the first place. Of course we can get it done. The second track, the third track, because if Long Island is going to grow, if you're going to prosper, you need mass transit, because the answer is not going to be getting on that LIE and driving in your car. You have no future for growth if that is the answer. So you need the LIRR to become more sophisticated, even though it's hard. And this says there's a different culture. It's a different day. we can do these things if we have the courage to go forward together. And these two projects are an example of that. The LIA's leadership, the LIA's partnership in advocating these projects was vital to it. And if we keep the energy up and we keep the partnership up, the sky is the limit. And we're not just going to rebuild and replace. We're going to make this place better than it was before. The way our parents left us better than they found it, our job is to improve it to a point that it is better than we had it. And we'll do that together. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you. The governor talks about courage. None of the projects he just mentioned happen without his leadership. Another round of applause for our great governor. That concludes our program today. We wish you all a very nice weekend, a great summer. Come out, spend your money on Long Island. It's our vineyards, our beaches, our parks, our golf courses, our marinas. You name it, we have it. Long Island's best days can be ahead, and with Governor Cuomo's help, I think we'll get there. Thank you again, and have a nice weekend.